All right, welcome back to Influential Dental, where we are interviewing some of the most influential dentists and dental professionals in the industry and in the world. And we are more than excited to have Dr. Justin Moody, who just got off stage. We are again here at a live event and literally drug him over to our booth to get a little interview in. We're really excited to talk to you a little bit about that. But before we do that, I'm Julianne O'Connor. I'm an influence coach for high achieving dentists and doctors who are looking to take back their quality of life. And I'm here with my co-host, Mike Keeter, and I'll let him introduce himself, and then we're going to bring Dr. Justin Moody in.
Sounds good.
Hi, thank you, Julianne, and great to be here at ADI 2024 and talking with Dr. Justin Moody. And I've been in the dental industry for about 18 years in various capacities, and very much looking forward to having this episode with Dr. Justin Moody, talking about his journey in dentistry, who's been influential in his life, and to get a little bit behind the scenes. We've known Dr. Moody for being a leader at Implant Pathway, being incredible on stage. But I want to peel back a little bit for those of you that don't know that he is a wine connoisseur as well as a wine owner, vineyard owner, and just a little bit about his journey. So again, thank you, Dr. Moody, for being here today, and Julianne, appreciate your time as well.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. It's always an honor to be asked to speak and to be given the opportunity to talk to docs, because that's my journey has always been relationship based, not like really anything else. So the best part about my job is I meet literally hundreds of dentists every year, and that network of people grows, and it really is what makes me rich, is the relationships that you get with these people. It's unbelievable. And to come here, I probably know a third, maybe closer to a half of the people that are here. I got Pathway grads out in the audience and such. So that's the best part about this job.
I love that. And so it's exciting to have you here first and foremost because you're extremely busy. You're all over the place. And one of the things we were talking about is how you really are very good at drawing boundaries, and really you have kind of mastered saying no when you need to say no, which is partially why I feel so honored to have you here. You're giving me that.
Well, I do a much better job today than I used to. I used to have a lot of FOMO about they asked me to speak, and I was like, oh shit, maybe I should take the red eye here and then bounce over here or whatever. And so I have found a way to say no or postpone the yes a little bit longer, but I'm still not very good at it because when someone like yourself or whatever asks me to do something, normally. And this is the hard part that I learned. Normally when someone asks you to do something, my first instinct today is just tell me more about that. Because tell me about what your expectation of me is coming in, because is it a lecture that, I could put together relatively quick, or are you asking me to speak on a topic that's going to take me a long time to build? And when I say most of the time, I look at it this way, when it's a new lecture series, most of the time on average you spend about 30 minutes per slide generating that. And that's from for me, the way I do it is I storybook out the lecture, in my comp book, I storybook out, I'm gonna go do down the list, and then I start putting the slides to the lines. And so it takes a while.
So that's brilliant because I think everybody actually can benefit from that who is influential and doing this, because you're really speaking to a mixed audience of a lot of different people from a lot of different walks in this industry. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it practically in terms of how to determine whether it's worth your time for, what somebody's offered you, whether or not you can prioritize it over something else. Dr. Odlin was mentioning that you're the visionary in the couple, and that she's the one that's very technical and the learner and all of that, and that she said you have huge dreams. So tell us a little bit about that.
She's right, and I think it's what makes us, such a great couple, because for me, when I have a vision or a place I want to go or something that I want to do, like no one will stop me from getting there besides myself, so I plan that out, but like sometimes like I'm not deep into the details, and Chris's love language is an Excel sheet, and she that's what she loves. Like she loves to dive into it, and like she'll make a gajillion categories in Excel, and at the winery, like we're producing wine right now, so I've got like a line. It's like, okay, wine, barrel, like bottle, like, and and that doesn't work for her, but that's okay, right? Because like my vision is like, you know part of what we want to get done out there is like we want to create this super safe place for people to come within not just the dental profession, but like any kind of profession to come and enjoy Napa Valley, enjoy a relationship based experience, and be able to go from point A to point B, and that's what I look at is like bringing people in. She's the one that's going to get in the details, like she's going to make the tasting sheet for the winery, and it's going to have your names on them, and she's going to do the due diligence on you guys to like bring something to the table to put that all together, and that's an art in itself. Like as much as being visionary is important, like the day-to-day performance and the nuts and bolts of it are what keeps you there for a long haul.
I love it. So, and she did also share, and I'm going to pass the mic over here to Mike to have an opportunity to speak. But she did mention you guys have some very influential neighbors, and that it mixes it up to have this sort of repertoire of more expertise, more people to sort of tap into that if they're willing to be a part of your masterminds and some of the other things that you guys are doing. It just brings so much more insight. So I love that you're doing that and you're thinking outside of dentistry. Not to mention that I'm excited about the winery. That
Yeah, for sure. Like listen, you've known her longer than I have.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. Yeah, no, I was a field rep for an implant company about 15 years ago up in the Vancouver, Portland area. And yeah, I used to call her when she first broke ground on her building there in Vancouver. So yeah, we kind of had a little laugh on that. But yeah, no, I've known her for many years.
Yeah, yeah.
And very excited for her. Obviously, what she's accomplished and what you guys have accomplished individually and together. That's very exciting. And being from the Northwest, I do enjoy wine as well. And whether it's from the Willamette Valley or Yamaha County, but obviously Napa Valley as well. So I'm very much looking forward to that as well. But yeah, that's fun that we have that connection. And dentistry is a small space, and that's something else we can talk about. I mean, like you said, from seeing students to like going to students' lectures to what you've grown Pathway to, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that because obviously most of our listeners and the people viewing probably know what Implant Pathway is, but I'd love to kind of go back and how that started and where that went and how this has gone full circle.
You think about like your journey, right? Like I come out of dental school. All I really wanted to ever be was an oral surgeon. So I got the grades. I did I got the board scores and this, and then I had my oldest son when I was a senior in dental school, and all of a sudden now 6 years of additional residency didn't like sound so fun. I'm just like, geez, you could be in second grade before I'm done with this, program, So I was like, eh. So I kind of just said, I'm gonna go back home to the ranch, which I loved, like a first generation to do something other than cows and weeds. So like, I still thought I had some place in doing that. And I went home and I practiced from 97 to about '08, got heavy into implants, and I did have a winery in Nebraska back then, which is kind of crazy. And I found that like implants were really like what I wanted to do. Like it wasn't the rest of dentistry that inspired me, but it was implants. So I decided that I would move my family to 2 hours north of Rapid City, South Dakota, from a town of 1,000 people to a town of 100,000 people, and open up an implant only shop that was referral based. So like everyone was like, you can't do that. Like a general dentist can't go out and like make a referral based business like an oral surgeon or a periodontist. And I was like, well, why can't I? And I didn't go do it because people said I couldn't. I went and did it because that's what I wanted to do. And I created that, and I was there from '08 to about 17. And then, well, we started Pathway in 2015, but in 2017, um, I decided to, like, you know what, I'm going to go make my living in education, not being a clinician. Not that I quit being a clinician, but like I was more education than I was private practice. And again, the boo birds come out, they're just like, you can't do that. Like there's only a few people in the world that make their living in true education, like John Coyce,
Right.
Frank Spear, like there's not very many, that aren't also being a heavy clinician, because the clinician was really paying the bills and like, you love doing this. And I was like, no, I'm going to go do this. And as I looked around, and part of the timing was, one of my mentors, Carl Mish, got cancer and passed away, and like there was this vacuum in implant education with his passing, and I was like, if not me, who? So I was just like, I think I can do this, but I think I'm not smarter than Carl, and I don't ever claim to be, but like it's also a little bit of like the old blockbuster thing, right? Like if we don't change the way we teach, like we could become obsolete. So we've moved the baseline education into these online modules. So like there's no reason for you to travel to Phoenix, Arizona to listen to me talk to you about physiology and pharmacology and stuff. Like I'll make these modules the foundation for it. And so when you come, we can take that, we can build on it, then we can get into hands-on models. And then the real secret sauce, though, is to Pathway is live patient education. Like the docs that come, like they get to place their first implants or wherever they are in their journey on real patients with a mentor over their shoulder that like won't get in trouble, but like they're able to do procedures maybe that they wouldn't have done, in their private practice for fear of it. And that's really the secret sauce to it. Like it's not me, it's all the mentors and the people that give of their time to make sure that these docs get a great start in their implant careers.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've been in that for what, a year now?
Yeah, it was a year in October.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just about
yeah,
a
just
year.
just a year and a few months. We were over in Tempe since 2017,
Right.
and just it's kind of interesting. We moved 4 miles down the same road on Guadalupe. So, and what was really nice about that move was that A, we went into our own facility because we'd outgrown the other one, and B, the majority of our patients are in that Tempe, Ahwatukee, Chandler like area, and our patients didn't have to move.
That's
Like
perfect.
like I'd found a facility in North Phoenix, and it was a little closer to me. But then my team and the patients that we see in the clinic, like I'm going to lose most of these people by moving. Like, and the facility was like unbelievable for less money, but like we stayed there because that's our community now.
Right.
That nonprofit clinic. I mean, we see thousands of patients a year of the coolest people on the planet, like people that just like would never be able to afford it. Like you guys donated an arch to a lady that just like without your help and without our residents doing that work, like they'll never get this treatment.
It's all really interesting. And, I think when I see what you've done with your career and knowing training and education, which is just, I think so many people who are not in it have no idea what it takes, that how much energy it takes to fill courses, to do these things that are really mundane in nature. They're really the antithesis of what you would do as a visionary at some point, because it's just this grind, right, of doing things in the preliminary, stages. So as a visionary, as somebody who is the big dreamer and how did you find the people to surround yourself with to help make that happen so you didn't get burned out? Or did you get burned out?
I've never really been burnt out on education, and I think the vision or the strive is to A, not get burnt out, and B is to like I think one of the things I think I'm good at is I do delegate a lot. Like when you come to work for me, like I'm not a micromanager. Like I don't hover over you. Like I don't like when I hire you to do a project, like I expect you to do the project, you know. And I also tell them that like I expect you to come to me if you don't know, you know, if you have questions, you know, because I'm not above that. I can that I can't stop and you know help you. And as I look at the next thing that we want to do, or you know, whether it's a new class or whether it's a new collaboration or whatever that is, like the day-to-day grind though of doctors coming in. It's not a grind, but like there's a lot of intricacies that are behind the scenes that when someone comes to Pathway, it looks seamless, but it's you know like we've got temporary licenses and we've got you know hotels you know to you know we try to get them to the same hotels and you know the transportation and the dinner at my house and like there's like and my team does it you know seamlessly and I brought them from South Dakota. So Austin, who's my chief operating officer, he graduated college, and I was still in South Dakota. It was in 2015, and he just graduated. He was selling billboard advertising on the interstate, and he actually was in my office. And he was pitching me and my team, you know, like, hey, you should advertise on I-90 and this and that. And he left, and I told my team, I was just like, yeah, we're not doing any of that. And they're like, I said, we're busy enough. Like, I said, but I am going to hire him. And they're like, what? And I was just like, so I waited a couple days and then I called him and I said, hey, could you meet me at the clinic before I get started in the morning? It's like 7 a.m. And it's not a big town, but like it still took him probably 15, 20 minutes to get there. And he sits down and it's like, Austin, like, because I've known him from high school. So like, you know, some, you know, disclaimer, he played football with my oldest son. So, and I know his parents. And so he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, you did a great job, man. Like, if I was in the market for billboard advertising, I would do it. And you can see the life starting to drain out of him. Like, I got up early this morning. I drove down here for you to, in person, tell me no. And
Exactly. You're not going to buy.
yeah, I know. And I just looked at him. I said, you want a job? And he's like, well, I got a job. And I was like, no, but I said, what a job that like uses your skill set in sales. I mean, because that's really. And I said, I got this gig. Like, I think I'm gonna move to Phoenix and like do this full time. And I said, I can't answer all the docs call. I can't do everything. And he's just like, he thought about it for like 2 seconds. He's like, yes.
Nice.
So he came down and we hired another gal from Brittany. We hired a gal from Rapid City. Went to a different high school, and she was working in the Phoenix area for a company, and obviously we knew her, so we brought her on, and then Austin and Brittany got married a number of years later.
Bringing people together then.
I have nothing to do with that. Like they knew each other back in high school and stuff, just not on that level. But the team, you know, like the team has to be, and I don't think it matters whether it's a Pathway team or an office team or whatever. Like I've got 3 rules for docs that want to come in to be mentor, and you know, one of them, you know, is like would I let them do work on me, because if I didn't, like then I wouldn't want them to teach someone how to do something else.
That's a
you know,
good rule. I love that.
but my second rule, which is I think is almost more important, and that is like, will they let me call them by their first name? Because if they won't, they can't get over their ego, and that I don't need, because when the mentors come to Pathway, like it's not about the mentors showing the attendees how good they are. It's about it's about the student finding out how good they are. Like that's the difference, you know. And then the third rule is like, would I invite them to my house for dinner? You know, right? Like would I see them outside of this scenario? And like, you know, not everybody fits the mold perfectly, but they do satisfy all 3 of those, you know, criteria.
I am going to say that I am so impressed by how you have built this community. So I had the blessing of being able to come and lead the Pathway
Yeah, our first mentor retreat.
Yeah, which was amazing. And I kid you not, I'm pretty sure that every one of those doctors stays in touch still. And it is such a community of, you know, humility and good people. They absolutely put you on such a high level that you deserve, but they do it clearly because they genuinely appreciate you. And so you have done a phenomenal job. So if you were to give a piece of advice to other people trying to build a community like this, beyond the tactical stuff of, having this pathway place or
Yeah, for
anything like
sure.
that, what advice would you give to other people who are trying to sort of build that community of people in that regard?
Well, I think like I don't think it's possible to build that, that community, which is a great term for it. Like I don't think you can build that community without a level of authenticity. And it coming from a place of like, listen, like to be mentors and stuff. Like everyone's got a bit of an ego and things, but like the reality is like is your purpose really to help the other human, be better? If that's the purpose, then then you belong in this, you belong in this microcosm. If you're in it to self-serve, and the truth is we've had people come in and out of Pathway that ended up being too self-serving, and they weed themselves out because the community weeds them out. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just like they weren't a good fit. And not everybody, like I was telling someone earlier outside that we train about 500 doctors a year, which is a lot, right? Like, so, we're probably, we might be the elephant in the room for, education. But the reality is there's 150,000 dentists in the United States and 8,200 dentists that graduate every single year. Like I'm touching decimal points of people, So the people that enjoy coming to Pathway and become a part of the Pathway family, like they choose to be there, and they've bought into the culture that we've created. And if you don't fit that culture, like I don't think anything less of you. Like it's just like this is what we've grown, and like like you join the Pathway family to be. You have stages in your life in the Pathway family, so you come into Pathway looking for camaraderie and looking for the education and the skill set, but you elevate through Pathway in finding a way to help the next person. Like that's the next step. Learn, teach. Because that's the only way that our profession thrives going forward.
Right. Well, and I think what I heard you say, and what listeners and viewers is find your people, I guess, right?
For sure.
And continue to educate yourself, because there's education out there for everyone. And if you just find it and mentor and network and come to programs like this, I heard you say that why you enjoy these is, again, to network, to communicate, to have a beverage or go out to dinner with the Stanleys and so on. So I think coming to conferences like this and doing continuing education is much more than education. It's like in business, right, where a lot of the deals get done is not necessarily in the office; it's on the golf course per se,
In the bar, like in the hallway.
in the
winery.
hallway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Like I
In
look
the
over
winery.
I look over that table, and you got Miller and Stanley and Folick sitting there. Like those are implant icons. Like these are guys that have been on the main stage of the biggest implant meetings on the planet, and they all teach like I do, and there ain't a single one of them that came here to self promote. And there's plenty of those people out there, and you know what? They come and go. It's those that get into it for the right reasons that stand the test of time, and like they have their people, right? And it's kind of funny because Robert and I have a lot of our students that have taken both of the courses, and I always tell my students like you should go take it all. Like they should take courses from all three of those people at that table, because like they all have something to add to your toolbox, and you can't just keep it all in Pathway, because like you could survive with it for sure, but like to thrive, like you need to see what else is out there and learn from others and be a part of. Like you could fit their culture better than mine. And I think one piece of advice when you're looking for your people is that, I don't know what's that kind of old analogy where you have, yes, the tree, right? Like you have people that come in your life that are leaves that come and go with the seasons, right? And then you got branches, and then you've got the trunk, and then you have roots. And like the roots are generally your family. Of course, they can't really go anywhere. Yeah, but like you've got people that are rooted in your life that like are the cornerstones, and then as you move out, like people come in and out of it, and it's okay.
Yeah, so I love that you're saying that. Okay, so I feel like it takes a really specific type of maturity for people to be able to just be okay with people coming and going, because I mean we've experienced that a lot, and we just continue to give and make introductions, and we're not trying to covet anything. It's probably the reason we've been able to make so many friends in this industry is similar to what you've done, and we're so grateful for everybody whether they stay or not. But for some people, they take it really personally. And so my question is like, how do you cope? How do you deal with it? Because sometimes it's a little bit personal. Sometimes there's people who are kind of
Yeah.
not really loving you, and who knows why. But
You know what I think is, I don't think anybody disagrees with it, but like this is one of the downfalls. Like
and
I
for the
forget.
listeners, he pulled out his phone,
Oh yeah, I
so we
guess
have
we have it.
video
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
but
So
you'll be on.
yeah, the phone, right? And then like let's go more specific. Like you talk about it like Instagram. Like Josh Austin down in San Antonio, Texas, wrote an article in Dental Economics a number of years back about Instagram being like dental porn. And it's like it's like watching a train wreck that you can't put down, right? Like, and people post what I think is not normal and unachievable results, and people start like judging their own work based upon that, and they get down on themselves, and they get wrapped up in like, well, God, only 12 people like my post. Like, what's wrong with this? Like stop. Like, no one gives a shit. Like, sorry. Like you have to be good with yourself, and like that's why like I don't really. I'll post some. So I got like these 4 Instagram accounts, and people are just like, why do you have 4 Instagram accounts? Well, like they all do a different thing for me. Like the people that follow Implant Pathway are dentists. So if I post a bloody picture of a surgery on Pathway, I'm not losing followers, right? Not like if I posted on my personal one and my aunt's like, I ain't watching that shit.
Right.
Like, but then so then I have my personal one, which is all about people. Like it'll be like my personal one will be about the people that I met and hung out and got selfies with and such. Here, I've got In the Wine Mood, which is about the food and the wine that I drank around the world. Because people are just like, oh, what'd you try? What'd you like, or whatever. It's like I don't
That'll
remember,
be the
and
one
I was
I
just like,
follow.
you know what? Like I'm gonna start an Instagram one where like I'm just gonna document where I ate, what I ate, and what I drank, and then I'll remember. It really started out as a mind jog for me of like, oh, that's where I was and that's where I liked it, and like if someone said like, hey, like traveling to Tuscany, I'll go back through my Instagram and I'll be like, hey, listen, like I went to here, here, and here, and it was amazing, like so give that a run. And then obviously the winery has one now too, but those are like I broke that up because like there's no one account that can satisfy all of those, because I have a different set of seasons of people in these things. Like I've got people that
Yeah.
know me in the wine industry that may not even know I'm a dentist, definitely don't care, and definitely don't want to see a bloody picture.
Yeah.
Right? Like so
Hands down.
so that's why, and I enjoy doing that. See, that's like I don't post because like, oh my God, I didn't get any. Like sometimes I post me only. Truthfully, I don't go look. But if they only got 12 followers, so what? If they got 500 followers, great. Like it doesn't make any difference to me. It's not why I did it.
Would you say though that you have always been that way, or have you
No.
grown to? Okay, so give us, so for listeners who are really struggling with this type of thing, like what's the secret? Is it literally just experience, or is it really consciously just saying, hey, nobody really cares? Like what is it?
Both.
What gave you your shift?
Well, I think both, because like I think it's kind of funny. I got divorced before I moved to Phoenix, and one of the things that really does happen in one's life is that like you you grow as a human. Like the human you are at 30 is not the same human you are at 20. Like your core value can be the same and probably is the same, but like experience in life like changes you, right? And you know, uh, you know, my ex-wife Christina is an amazing human. Like she's amazing mom to the kids, and we just grew apart. And like what she found, in life that she liked to do was different than what I like to do. And yeah, it doesn't mean it was easy, right? But like it's okay, So when you say that, like, yeah, part of it is um, experience, like just learn, like life, like learning life, and where you are and what you want to do, and some of it is uh, a conscious effort. Like for me, I make a conscious effort to come out wrong, but like I kind of make a conscious effort not to care. Like
Isn't there a great book about that?
yeah, yeah, like you know who I think today is like one of the people that I follow that does an exceptional job of not really caring what others think. Doesn't mean they don't see. There's a difference. Doesn't mean you don't care about other people.
Right.
It just means I just like you have an opinion about me and I don't care. Like it's fine. It doesn't matter. Elon Musk does that. Like he doesn't really give a shit. Like he doesn't really care what anyone thinks. Like okay, so like you say I can't build a rocket that goes up and comes back down and catches it. Like okay, well I'll give it a shot. Maybe it doesn't work, maybe it doesn't. But like I don't really care what you say.
We're gonna do.
And they do, right? But that's a conscious effort. Like that's not in the growth thing. That's like you have to make a conscious effort to be like, okay, yeah, like I I'm gonna care about me and less about them, and less about what people think.
I'll give this back to you, Julianne. No, but I agree with that. And I think, as you said earlier, about you having this vision and going for it. And I think in any profession, especially dentistry, where I think dentists get stuck, because I've been in hundreds, if not thousands of offices and had these experiences, is they get stuck in a particular office, their situation, a DSO, or what have you. But again, if they make a conscious effort to do what they truly want to do, then they can achieve it and do it. And to get those people around you that have that like vision or will help you get there. So I guess that's what I hope people that are watching and listening to this kind of take from what you're saying is if you have that vision, make that conscious effort to change your situation if it's not the situation you want to be in.
Yeah, and I'm gonna like add to that, and that is like in your journey onto your vision, like I think there's a couple different kinds of people, and like you have people that live in the past slash regret, and that is like they continually spend their life applying what they know today to a decision they made in the past. That's all regret is like no, the decision you made in the past you would make 10 out of 10 times because you made the decision based upon the information you had at the time. Regret happens when you find out like I'm going to tell a quick story. I had a young couple that when I mean like they were in the 20s when I was in my 40s that wanted to pay for their crowns in this thing called Bitcoin. And literally like they were going to pay me like 3 or 4 Bitcoins for these crowns that I'd made on them. Now today it's $100,000. Yesterday it crested $100,000. But
Sent you a
but
screenshot.
but I'm telling you that when they pitched this to me, I'm just like, you're not right in the head, are you? Right? Like, because it didn't make any sense to me. It still actually doesn't make any sense to me. But like at the time, I was just like, well, what am I going to do with this? Like, is it on a flash drive? Like, it made so much nonsense.
I just want to know if you did or didn't accept it.
Did
Come
not.
on.
No,
100%.
Okay. So it's a definite regret.
Oh, well,
I didn't know if you
but it's actually,
secretly.
but truthfully, like I don't regret it. It makes a great story now, and the more it goes up, like the story is actually better. But like it doesn't bother me at any point because I didn't know like you could apply that to every single thing in life, but that's not real. I think there's also a danger in living on the other side of that, and that is, I call it the dreamer. And vision is different than dreams because dreams will let you down because the dreamer thinks like, you know what, I'm gonna build this house on this hill with this picket fence and like this deal. Well, the dream it never comes true like the dream. It could be a version of it, but it doesn't happen, and those people often get let down because like, I didn't make it, I did I didn't fulfill my dream. Well, my to a long answer to your question was like one of the things that you need to do as a visionary as you go along, you need to know from day one that whatever your vision is going to change 1,000 different times, and where you end up is most likely going to be nowhere near you think it's going to be. And that's what vision is being able to adapt and change along that way, because like the
I
dreamer
love
gets
that.
really focused though on the dream, and they're often let down by it because it never turns out like that,
Yeah,
right?
it's,
Like,
I always say, you can, let's set all these goals, whatever we want to do, but remember, it's not going to look like what you think it's going to look like in the end.
it's gonna look nowhere near what that looks
Yeah.
like. Even like Christine and I's journey into building, the winery in Napa. Like I'm going to write a book about building in California. I just hope people believe it, because sometimes it's so crazy, like the hoops and the like the craziness of building in that state.
You wouldn't
That
even believe it,
you
right? We couldn't even make a movie
yeah,
about it,
for
they'd say.
sure. And setting out to build a winery, like I've built dental offices and commercial buildings, and just like, yeah, like the architect draws it and that's what you go do. Here, that path looks just like this carpet. Like,
And for,
I know the
yeah,
viewers can't, they
you
can't
can
see,
imagine,
but
just
it's just
think
like
of a convention center
this crazy
crazy.
spaghetti pattern, right? And we still don't know exactly what it, like conceptually it'll still look like what we planned with the architect, but like how we get there and what we do with the place afterwards, like it won't be what we initially thought, and that's the way it's supposed to be. It was never
Exactly.
supposed to be exactly like that. Otherwise, life would be
No,
boring. It'd
that's
be boring
life.
as
That's
shit.
life.
It'd be
That's
boring as
life.
shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it. So I'm kind of curious, and I know that we've gone way longer than we said we would with you, but it's such an interesting conversation. I love just listening to you tell your stories. But what part of this, like the way you are, I mean, is it something that you were taught when you were a kid? Do you feel like your views of the world come from a particular, learning experience, or were you born this way? Because I feel like I can relate to a lot of what you're saying, and I feel like a lot of other people fight it so hard all the time. And you want to be able to help people, but if they're not operating like you do, and even look at Dr. Christine Adland, she is the spreadsheet person. She does have a hard time. She says you are the person who literally helps her to shut down her brain, but she still has to do it systematically. She can't just let go, right?
I'm going to rat her out. So,
Uh oh.
when she was
Sorry.
no, when we were looking at the agenda, the exact title of what ADI had on what she's going to talk and what her exact title was, and she was like, "Shit, like, do I need to change this or whatever it is?" And I was like, "No, like, 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 like." It's just a title, like they're sitting in because it's you. So, and those are the differences. Like me, like you, it could have said, Dr. Moody's going to talk about practice management. It's like, I'm not going to talk about that, but like, I'm not worried about it saying that
Right.
on the deal. But she's the detail person in like, oh shit, like that's not right, whatever. But it's a check and balance, because I don't, I don't need throttled back, but I need direction and grounding, and because my philosophy in life is it's all gas, no brakes. Like I'm not interested in waiting to, like so many people's like, well, maybe you should wait, see how the wine industry's doing or this and that. I was like, for what? Wait, what are we waiting for? Like if it goes
Put a
up,
bottle, it's gonna be wine.
well, it's just
You can drink
like
wine either way.
yeah, it's just like, okay, so if I, like I still don't buy Bitcoin, but like if you think it's going to go up, like why would you want to wait and see if it goes up? Like then
Right.
you should buy it now. So for me, it's just like if we want to have a winery and sell wine and start to bring industry people there to do sales meetings or like mentor retreats,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. Like I was talking to Holland, like it doesn't matter if it's dentistry or not. Like you guys work outside of the dental community too. Like everyone should come there, like because it's not dental focused. And actually why we've moved from titanium, the name of the winery, to Odland Moody is like It's about us.
Right.
Yeah, and it's titanium was too pigeonholed into dentistry. It's too pigeonholed.
Yeah, so
It
that's
needed to
why you
be.
came up with that originally then.
Yeah, we had there's some other issues too, like the world of trademarks are really
Yeah.
crazy. Like so. When you try to trademark symbols and things, like it really like your name could be John McDonald and you want to open a hamburger stand, you're not going to get to use your last name.
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you, but I saw this coming, and so I trademarked your names, and so, some time ago.
Yeah,
No,
but
but I've heard of that actually happening, where somebody,
sure.
where you have somebody who's
Well,
famous, and they do
people
it
go
all
out
the
and buy your
time, right?
.coms all the time because they
Yeah,
see someone moving in through a space, and then they're like, oh shit,
they're
like
trademarking influencers
for sure they are,
sometimes,
before they
and
figure out that they
their
should trademark
names,
themselves.
their birth names.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I didn't actually trademark your name, but I wish I would have. And I wish I would have, been on the receiving end of that Bitcoin too. But right. So okay, so we're gonna wrap it up just to be mindful of your time
For sure.
because you hooked us up so much. Is there any great piece of advice you'd like to leave the listeners with? Anything that is really, you're kind of existential. Would you agree? Like in a way, you're kind of this. You're out there, but I mean, you're clinical. Yes, you have all of that, but you do have this way of looking at the world, which is not something you hear people talk about openly. They're not. They may feel it, but they don't speak it. They don't say. You're kind of a little bold.
I'm a maverick.
Listen, like I think people use like the word vulnerable, and like if you put yourself out there, you become a little bit. And for me in this ranch kid, like even doing when I did the podcast, and talking about like put yourself out there a little bit. And I talked a little bit on stage about like, so you show an X-ray or two, and like it worked, but like someone might just like go in and tear you apart because of like what they saw, and just like that's where I have that a little bit of that. I don't care what they say, I'm good with what I did, and I think people could learn from what I did. So I think when you put yourself out there, you have to be willing to suffer the consequences, and the consequences are people want more of you. They want to learn, and they actually want to come and learn from you. And I like it because I will be able to help one more person, or whatever that is. And I think the biggest piece of advice for me is like I see these young docs, and they get so tunnel visioned on the money because they're in debt in dental school and like buying into a practice, whatever it is. But like, if they build the relationships, and spend the time with their patients, like the money will come. It'll come in buckets later on. Like it really will, because they're the ones, especially if you stay put, right? Like the docs that continually move, like they don't ever have that opportunity to, people call it put down roots, but for me the roots are the relationships. Like they don't have an opportunity to like build a relationship within that community that gets people to, because most communities, like when they say, oh, there's too many dentists, well, no, that's not true, because 60% of the dentists, 60% of the people that live in your community, they don't ever go anyway.
Right.
Ever. So how do you speak to just 1% of them to bring them in? Well, like you coach them in little league, or like you do the things in your community that the church bazaar or whatever, like you do something that gets them over
Build that
over that
relationship.
hump. And it's more relationship driven than money. And like the money,
Yeah.
I would tell you, like the money in the phone, or like the money in your cell phone, like ruins society.
Okay, so I agree with you on so many levels. I think that the other thing besides that might be that they teach money management, because if people could live within their means, because you see a lot of people who are, they're so unhappy, right? Because they're stressed about debt that they go spend more money. Have you seen this? Where you see your
For
doctors are
sure, like,
continually needing to make more.
yeah, like,
They make more, but then they need to make more than that. Like when's enough? Is there a
I said
place?
that's a question for everyone, right?
Right.
Like when is enough? Well, like I think there's this like fine line. Like, do I save for retirement? Yeah, for sure, right? Do I? I'm not particularly interested in trying to accumulate a huge amount of money to give to my kids, because like when my kids get it, that means I don't get to enjoy it with them. So like I would rather just spend it now. Like doesn't mean that I don't have this over here to help me, as I grow old and need help, but like that's being, I think that's being civic minded, and not making society take care of you. Like I'm not going to spend all my money and then go on welfare at the end. But like at the end of the day, like we only get the experiences we have in life, and like unfortunately, like many experiences require money. Even if it's like Thanksgiving, like I flew my dad and my stepmom and my two boys out to Portland. Yes, it cost money, but the experience we had in having dinner and them spending time with Chris's family and stuff like that there's no price to that.
It's priceless. Yep.
Yeah, there's no price to that. So like, so what?
Yeah.
You
So
know?
what are your plans for the rest of the holidays?
I have 2 more weeks of class. We have a fast track that starts Monday when I get back, and then we have a Zest course that starts the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Excited. Fenton's out. Fenton be there. Like. I just love. I love my people, right? Like Dan Fenton's like my man. Like I.
He was on the show earlier.
Yeah.
Today, so love him.
Dan Fenton may be more passionate about education than I am. Like just love the man. But I can see him like next week or 2 weeks. Like I'm already looking past like next week's fast track, and I'm just like, man, I get to hang out with Dan, out
That's awesome. I
in
love
Phoenix,
it.
But then after that, I think Thursday I fly to Portland and shut down for 3 weeks.
Perfect.
Like you
Good
got Christmas, New Year's, and then we don't do any courses that the first week of January. So there's 3 weeks, and we go to Sun River for those 10 days. Like that's like my happy place. The dog plays in the snow, and I get to do nothing.
If you haven't been to Sun River, Oregon, I highly recommend it. As what Dr. Moody's talking about, beautiful, beautiful place. But thank you very much. I know it took about twice as much time as we
I didn't know what it was.
But we've thoroughly enjoyed it. I know our audience has, and look forward to having you back on again. And also
always
look
happy.
forward to hearing more about the winery, seeing you out at the Pathway, and working together more. And again, really appreciate your time.
Of course.
Before we let you go, though, tell us, pick one of your 4 Instagram accounts. Where can people follow you, or all 4? And let's share where people can check out some of what you're doing.
Adland Moody, Aadland Moody, for the winery. If you want to look at food, wine, and travel, it's In the Wine Mood.
Love that.
And then obviously, Implant Pathway and just my name on Instagram, Dr. Justin Moody. So
So follow.
different audiences for everybody, but things that I enjoy doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So follow him, and we just really appreciate you guys tuning in and listening, and thank you again.
Of course. Happy to be on.